So probably if you've been looking at the videos on YouTube, you've seen that there's someone who goes by the name Tony Armstrong. That appears to be his real name. And he has left different comments. And tonight he sent me an email with these first three images from a pamphlet from 1989, the graduating class at NTCC, because he was in there. And so I asked him how it was that he still had that, like, where was that? And he said at the time he was 23 and he adhered it to the inside of his Bible. And so I thought to myself, wow, that was really important to him. How many people do you know took their graduation pamphlet and put it inside their Bible? And he said he has the same Bible today. And I asked him if it was okay if I use his name, just because I wanted to give the story behind it, because that is, I don't know, that's just something that was so important, and it's been there all this time. So I was looking over the names, and I could see, which you can look at yourself and see who's still there and who is not. But the thing that I found the most interesting was Dr. RW Davis was the speaker. Doctor, meaning a doctorate, meaning PhD. So I'm going to read you, hopefully very quickly here, this article I found. I've already posted something previously, like last year sometime, about these, what I consider to be fake. That's my opinion, based on a lot of different truths and facts. I do not believe Davis ever put in the time or the schooling of almost 8 years or more to get a PhD. I do not believe that Joe Olson put in the time to get a divinity doctorate. So they in the previous, I'm not going to go through it again here. You can look it up online, just type those in and see what is required, but I did post a previous video. I don't remember what it was called. I'm sure it just had something to do with their degrees, but I don't ever want you to just take my word for it, because this is my presentation of facts as best that I can research and know them. And that's why I'm putting this out there, to ask if somebody knows if Davis actually earned it. And that's why I'm going to read this article, because there's a difference between getting, there's people sometimes they'll be in the field of, let's say, journalism or something, and a university, maybe one they attended, will give them an honorary doctorate. They didn't earn it. It's just given to them. It's given to them because they're being recognized for work in a certain field, that they've put time in working in a certain field. So I'm showing you this. I'm showing you that, especially in those earlier years. Now, I don't have the ones from Brian's graduation, and mine was separate because I finished later, because I started later. I don't recall if it said Dr. RW Davis. So you look this over and see what you think, and then I will read to you. So I found this article from, I believe it's from 2012, and it caught my attention because I was trying to figure out how in the world Davis could have gotten a bona fide PhD. This man writes, I believe phony doctorates are a moral scandal in the church today. Many ministers are deliberately misrepresenting their academic qualifications with fake degrees. There are two sources for these illegitimate titles: honorary doctorates and diploma mills. Honorary doctorates may be a nice gesture toward a respected person, but these gestures are abused when recipients subsequently call themselves doctor, implying they have done the necessary academic work to receive such a title, and that the quality of such work was verified by authorities in that field. Honorary doctorates have been given to such esteemed recipients as Kermit the Frog, whose doctorate was bestowed upon him by Southampton College in New York. Kermit has the very same academic qualifications as many notables in the church, including the late Dr. Jerry Falwell, whose formal education after high school was limited to an undergraduate degree at an unaccredited Bible college. One can be a very good pastor or evangelist without having a doctorate. I'm not demeaning those who do not have such a degree, nor am I trying to imply that self-education is invalid. Still, doctor is supposed to mean something commonly understood. I consider it unethical to treat an honorary title as though it were a legitimate one. If someone is given a key to the city, they're not thereby authorized to enter any building they choose whenever they want. Honorary doctorates do not qualify recipients to work in the field designated on the diploma. No one wants an honorary doctor to perform heart surgery on them. Diploma mills, the other source of phony degrees, usually have small campuses but impressive websites. They always lack respectable accreditation. Legitimate seminaries maintain rigid standards for awarding a doctoral degree, and these standards are confirmed by respected accrediting agencies. These agencies are private corporations, even though they're responsible to government agencies themselves. The government does not dictate what courses should be taught in a properly accredited seminary. The diploma mill typically awards its degrees to people who complete a token of easy coursework. One diploma mill reportedly hands out doctorates in exchange for the reading of one book and the payment of $600. The mill's overhead is minimal, as those who run it do not have to maintain the kind of facilities or qualified staff real schools do. They consequently charge the student a small fee for their coursework. Sounds a lot like NTCC, doesn't it? What are you paying for exactly? When you find out how much the teachers make, which up until 2005 or January 2006, it was $25 under the table for each class. So thinking about what each person pays for a semester and that you don't get any supplies, where does the money go? What's it for? I guess to maintain the building? I don't know. There are phony accrediting agencies that these unethical organizations use, so a school's accreditation may be as phony as their degrees. There are many diploma mills churning out degrees to undeserving ministers in a practice Christian author Stephen Levikoff is referred to as name it and frame it. Dr. Dino Kent Hovine, spoke in many churches, always calling himself doctor, though his formal education past high school consisted of an undergraduate degree from an unaccredited Bible college and a doctorate from a diploma mill run out of the modest home of a man named Lonnie Skinner. Since awarding Hovine's doctorate, Skinner has named his business Patriot Bible University and relocated to a small but separate building. Unfortunately for Hovine, he used similar ethics in paying his taxes and is now in prison for tax evasion. One prominent diploma mill for ministers is Friends International Christian University. This school awards doctorates to candidates who, after completing very minimal prerequisites, Finish 8 easy correspondence classes. A diligent high school graduate can have his or her doctorate in less than a year. Oh my goodness. The average real earned doctorate takes over 8 years to obtain after earning a bachelor's and then a master's degree. Doctorates from Friends International Christian University have been awarded to ministers such as Dr. Fred Price, Dr. T.D. Jakes, Dr. Ron Canoli, and Dr. Stephen Wiley. Perhaps no diploma mill has been more successful than Life Christian University, which consists of a group of people with mostly phony degrees who have awarded doctorates to dignitaries such as Dr. Rodney Howard Brown, Dr. Joyce Meyer, Dr. Kenneth Copeland, Dr. Norvell Hayes, Dr. Kevin McNulty, Dr. Billy Brim, and Dr. Benny Hinn. Whether these doctorates are earned or honorary is not clear, though the difference would be little more than a technicality. Some diploma mills for ministers make no pretense to legitimacy. American Fellowship Church sells an honorary doctorate of divinity degree for $50. The Universal Life Church offers a free doctorate of divinity degree, DD, for anyone who receives their rubber stamp ordination. Cambridge Theological Seminary also offers free doctorates, but if one wishes to have an actual diploma, fees will be assessed, including ones for transcripted application, permanent records, and state-approved institutional registration. This mill casts aspersions on competing mills and titillates potential clients with the promise of the added prestige one will have using their phony title. This is a quote. Every time you signed your name Dr. D.D., D.Div., or Doctor of Divinity, it would have greater impact and would enhance all of your words for the kingdom of God that ever preceded or ever would follow, even after you've gone on to glory, if you had a Doctor of Divinity title. The above quote from this seminary website appeals to the apparent motive behind the purchase of fake degrees, the desire to have an undeserved air of academic respectability. The desire to have an undeserved air of academic respectability. Labeling oneself with a phony doctorate is dishonest. So it's very similar if you look on LinkedIn and find Phil Kinson claims to have a bachelor's degree from NTCC. Last I knew, ever, they are not an accredited school. They do not have the ability to offer anybody a bachelor's degree. They just don't. So I would just like to know, in putting this out, if anyone ever saw Davis's actual certificate. Did you see it hanging on the wall in his office? Davis could have hung anything up on a wall that said anything. Who was going to stand up and closely examine it? And who was he going to allow to do that? So based on the criteria needed to have a PhD, to call yourself doctor, which he did as the speaker at this 1989 graduation for NTCC. So if the man who started this organization was phony baloney, then what's the rest of it? What is it? Can it have higher ideals? And as he has passed on, and Olson, he has a Doctor of Divinity degree on his thing there. Did he have that? He has given us the history of his timeline after leaving the farm. And nowhere in there does he ever mention schooling, enough schooling to satisfy the requirements to have this degree, nor does anyone that I've asked know what school that was that he attended. So the lying is tightly woven in the threads of the fabric of this group, this cloak that they wear of piety, and yet they're liars from the very, very, very start. Because to do that, to put out there that you are something you're not. Oh, Dr. RW Davis is going to be the speaker at the graduation. What does that make anyone feel like that sees that? Who's going to question him as to whether he has it or not? Nobody. That's who. Nobody. Anyway, that's just one article I found. I found many others, but this one was a little bit shorter than some of the others, went into more detail. But you can do your own research and find out. Ask. Go up to Keckle and say, did Davis have, like, where did he go to school? What did he study? Go up to Olson, ask him. Call him up on the phone. Of course, he's not a fan of people calling and asking things, is he? Or asking or having an opinion. He's made that very clear. He's not a fan of that. So you might want to think about it. Maybe you can get someone else to do it for you. Since I'm not sure how easy these papers were to read, I'll also post it with the video on Facebook and on the blog. Thank you. Have a nice night.